Hey guys, we are back for some Beyond Earth content. I know I've been overloading my channel with videos lately, but I'm trying to get this stuff to you guys as fast as possible. So, as you know, I am currently working on a basic guide video that will be finished at the end of this week, and we're going to be working toward a Transcendence victory. So, while I'm working on that though, I'm going to start posting one other video each day on top of the guide video, and each of these videos is going to be setting up for the future of the Beyond Earth on my channel. So Monday through Friday, while I'm posting the rest of the guide, I'm also going to be posting these videos. We're going to do one video each day starting a new game, and each new game is going to be much more advanced stuff than the guide we're doing right now. And we're going to be focusing on different victories, different strategies, stuff like that. So, for today's video, the first video we're going to do, we're going to focus on a contact victory, because I want to cover all 4 victories. And we're also going to be doing a well-known strategy from Civ 5 called the Infinite City Sprawl. If you don't know what that is, it's very well known. It was rather broken. You basically just spam cities everywhere, as many places as you can put them. So it has its flaws, and it has its bonuses, which we'll get to as we're going through the setup process of the game. I've already thought out what Civ I'm going to play as, and the Civ I play as, to be honest, will not be one that most people will play as. That does not make this video invalid, however. It's just I like to do unique things. But the basic concepts you will see in my video will carry over to every Infinite Sprawl City game you can play, so I would still recommend watching them. But before we do that, let's go over what a contact victory actually is. A contact victory is the only victory besides domination that does not require a specific affinity. The contact victory basically means we have discovered an advanced alien race that pretty much gives us a whole new outlook on existence, and that's how we win. It is very good for economic-focused civs. There are 4 steps to it, as there are with all of our, most of our victories. We have to discover the signal, decode the signal, build a beacon, and activate the beacon. So, the first thing we need to do is discover the signal, which we have to complete the Transcendental Equation City project, and then launch a deep space telescope to find the signal. We then find the Progenitor Ruins, and send an explorer there for an expedition. Once we decode the signal, we can then build the beacon. Once the beacon is built, it takes 1,000 energy to activate it, and then all of our energy per turn will go to the beacon and fill it up until we win the victory. So we do have some wonders we have to build, and the reason I picked Infinite City Sprawl for this victory is because with all the trade routes we can get and abuse, we can get a lot of gold, or energy, a lot of goddamn energy. The biggest downfalls to ICS are the lack of culture, the lack of science, and the fact that a city with wonders is going to be hard, because all our cities aren't going to have a lot of tiles. They're going to have maybe 6 or 7 tiles each. I have a way around that though, and I'm going to show you how to do it. But part of our way around it is going to involve picking a civ you wouldn't normally expect to pick. We don't need multiplayer. Let me not do that. So we're going to set up our game. All of my games we're setting up are going to be on Vostok difficulty, a step above what we were playing. I don't want to make them any higher than that, just because though I can play on Gemini and the higher difficulties easily enough, I want to more focus on the strategy itself as opposed to having to deal with a lot of challenges. We're going to do quick for the game pace as always, and I'm going to do massive as my map size. I love massive much better than standard. Feels much more like a planet, but especially for Infinite City Sprawl, we want as much land as possible, so that's why we're doing massive. For a general, obviously for contact victory, what you pick doesn't really matter. For Infinite City Sprawl, you want to pick something. There's not as many options, honestly. Franco-Iberia isn't going to be an option, really, because you're not going to have a lot of virtues to get free techs. The Cavithan Protectorate, though it's my default pick for massive maps, isn't going to help because we're not going to need as much tile growth because we're going to be covered, trust me. African Union's not really that big because you're not going to need a lot of food. Combat might be nice. Orbital stuff might be nice. The biggest one is normally that I would pick for an infinite city is ARC because covert operations will help you gain science and techs. But the one I'm going to pick today is the Pan-Asian Cooperative. And I know you're probably like, what? Why would you pick that? Now, normally, ICS, you don't even want to think about wonders. But the reason I'm picking this is because we're going to have our capital city be a normal size city because we're going to have it take the tiles from all the nearby cities. And I'll explain how to do that in the game when I start playing the game itself. But since it's going to be a full-size city and we're going to specialize it in production, it will be able to build the transcendental equation and the beacon and all that stuff much quicker. And the 25% worker speed will be very helpful in covering all the roads and improvements we're going to need to build with this build. With this strategy, I mean. So that's why we're picking the Pan-Asian Cooperative. As I said, just because I'm picking a civ you may not normally pick, all the tips for the ICS that are in here are still helpful. So I wouldn't disregard this video series just because of that. For my colonists, I'm going to choose science. Yes, I could totally justify aristocrats. Totally. Because the energy and the health in every city is huge. The reason I'm picking science, though, is because we're going to have a huge deduction in our science from how many cities we have. So I want to use that to counterbalance some of the science we'll be losing. So either one is justified. Production you could do. Food and culture I wouldn't touch because you're not going to be able to get enough culture to gain back the virtues you're losing, and our cities aren't going to get that big, so we're not going to need much extra food. For our spacecraft, Continental Surveyor, in my eyes, is really the only choice because you need to know where the coasts are to plan where your cities are going to go. And I'll explain that again, something we'll explain as I start the games. For our cargo, laboratory, done. You need the colonists early, you need the trading routes early. Those are the two biggest things for an ICS victory in this game to work, so I would highly recommend you take pioneering tech first. For our world, you can justify most of the ones with a big landmass. I'm going to pick Protean. And this is both a pro and a con. The Protean world is one continent with everyone on it, which means that it's much easier to piss off other civs and go to war. And where we're doing a strategy like this, we're going to be pissing off everybody, undoubtedly. The reason I still justify it, though, is because A, we have more land in one place, B, it's easier to find the signal, and C, they're going to be getting in each other's way as much as we're going to be getting in their way. So it's going to work out, and it's also going to prevent a sponsor civ from getting on a continent by itself and not having to worry about war and getting overpowered. So that is why we're doing it this way. For advanced settings, we don't really need to worry about anything. Obviously, if you want to change things, you can, but for the most part, let's start right into it. So our first few turns in this game are going to be focused on... We're going to get some culture early, because early game in an ice time, it's really going to do a lot for us. We're going to get explorers out. And like I said, in this game, there's going to be a huge focus on trade routes. And Beyond Earth is huge, a huge change from Civ 5 and other Civ games. If we have 20 cities and they all have 3 trade routes, that's 60 trade routes pulling in energy and science. That'll give us the huge economy we need for the contact victory, and it will counterbalance some of the science we are losing. Now, we are going to want to spread out our trade routes among different civs, because the amount of science we'll be gaining, they will also be gaining. But I think if we do this right, we will be fine. We're just going to have to play smart, defend ourselves, and make sure we get the contact victory up and running as quickly as we possibly can. So let's start right off. Doesn't really matter where we put our first city. The thing to note is that we do have a pattern we go by when we're putting down our cities, and I'll explain the pattern in the next video. But really, this is the best spot I can pick. It gives us a lot of resources around here, actually. Very odd-shaped continent, though. Just from looking at the mini-map in the top, I know the best... We're kind of in the middle, and this is unfortunately a bad start. I'd rather us be on the edge. But what I'm probably going to do is expand right down the middle, cut the continent in half. Or no, maybe I shouldn't do that. That would kind of put us in the middle. Maybe... We'll see. I'm going to expand. I'm going to see where the first few civs come down. And then I will decide where I want to expand to. For an ICS, I'm going to take genetics first, because the extra 2 health buildings are going to be big in keeping our civ healthy. For production, we're going to take our old earth relic just to get that culture going quickly. And I'm not going to play past the first turn on any of these videos. So that is it for this video. As I said, like and subscribe. Subscription, you will be able to keep up to date on my Beyond Earth content and my other game content. And liking my videos and showing me that you want to see this game first will help me decide which game I'm going to put on my channel first, whether it's this or any of the other ones I'm going to have coming out. I'm going to have a 1 city challenge. I'm going to have a more normal game with advanced tactics. I'm going to have an ocean combat game. I'm going to have each of those is going to have their own victory, so we're going to make sure to cover all the victories. But, yeah, leave comments that are constructive and tips for other players and what you want to see me do for this video. Things to make it easier, maybe what affinity I should go with, things such as that. So I will see you